My name is Alex Peoples. I am the Associate Director of Enrollment Management Recruiting in the Wake Forest University School of Business, and I oversee admissions for the Master's of Science in Management program. And today I'm going to give a brief overview on the management program, some basic information about what it's about and what kinds of outcomes you can expect by completing the program. I'm also joined by a current student in the program who I will briefly let introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Nazra. I'm currently in the MSM program. I went to Wake Forest for undergrad. I was a psychology major, and around this time last year is when I decided to do the MSM program. So I'm glad I joined, and I hope that I can provide some insight for you guys.
Awesome, Nasra. Thank you. And I bet you can. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share my screen and we'll run through, like I mentioned, a brief overview of the program. For starters, the management program is a short experience. It is a 10-month experience. It is designed to be business knowledge for those without a business background. So there are no prerequisites required related to business or management. The program is going to assume that you do not have a business or management background at all. We don't require any work experience because this program is intended to be essentially a fifth year. Most students are straight out of undergrad, like NASRA, and do this program before starting their careers. So teaching business and management skills to those without having that as the background is the whole point of the program. So that and the kind of the byline for the program is creating ethical business leaders, which is something that I think the program does really, really well. So non-business majors are the most popular. Nasser mentioned being a psychology major. That's our most popular major this year. It often is. Some of our others include biology, communications, sociology, some of the other most popular majors every single year. There's an experiential learning aspect to the program, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. And that is essentially your internship-like experience built into the program. The program has a really strong career services team and some really great kind of career outcomes that we'll demonstrate for you thanks to the career coaches. And the program is STEM certified, which is another critical aspect of it for international students especially. So for starters, the typical class profile, on average, we have around 86 students in the class. We divide that up into two sections. So your class sizes are 40-something students, very manageable. Your peers get to know you really well. The professors get to know you really well and vice versa. It's great for building strong relationships. If you come from a smaller school, this is going to be very similar to what you're used to. If you come from a larger school, I think it's going to be a pretty refreshing change to have such a small class size while you work your way through the program. 48 different institutions are represented, 39 unique majors are represented, so tons of different majors all throughout the program. And that kind of goes to show the versatility of the program experience, all the different backgrounds you get to work with together on group projects. It makes for a really unique kind of environment, especially considering the fact that almost no one has any business experience yet. So it makes for a really unique component of the program. So here is the curriculum for the program. You will see that the program is divided up into 3 different semesters. Each of them relatively short. Some of the coursework, which I'll get into. The program begins in the summer in July. And there's a short summer term that continues through late August. It's around 6 or so weeks. It's meant to kind of be a warm-up for the rest of the program experience, business communications, problem-solving mindset, business analytics 1 or 3 of the business-related courses that you'll take, as well as a personal branding and career management class that is taught by the career coaches. And then finally, a graduate consulting prep, which again, we'll talk about more in a second. Nasra, can I tag you in here? Can you tell us what your biggest memory was from the summer curriculum experience? What do you look back on about it?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say probably maybe developing my confidence. I feel that when I got to school as well, my classmates too, I think they would also agree. We were all a little shy and timid, but I think the collective class curriculum with the business communications and the problem solving mindset, they really allowed us to step out of our comfort zone with our presentations. And I could say now, because of those memories and that very big first large presentation, that I can go up to people and start conversations. I can network. I bring just this confidence with me that I didn't have before. So I know that's not really a memory, but I would say because of summer, I am who I am now. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that's really great perspective. There's just so much growth packed into the program from start to finish, but especially in the summer. You're adjusting to seeing yourself as a business student, you're adjusting to brand new coursework, and you're adjusting to kind of a new model that most students aren't used to. It's a little bit different. So that's great perspective. The fall and the spring are going to be typical lengthwise to what you're used to. However, you'll notice that in the fall, the managing people and organizations class, and in the spring, the operations management class, those are both full semester classes, 15, 16 weeks, but everything else below them are going to be mini classes. So a mini class or a quarterly class, this is how we take 2 years worth of business curriculum and get it down in 10 months. You're only learning the most critical aspects of the curriculum. You are only engaging with the most formative components of what you're learning to be time efficient. So classes like marketing management, financial management, two accounting courses, and business analytics too, are the courses you take in the fall. And then applied business economics, business strategy and planning, business law, and IT management are in the spring. Um, in addition to the classes you see here, in the spring, there will also be two elective opportunities. The elective option there in the fall, you may see, is dependent on availability, but the ones in the spring will always be there, and they are based on which specialization you choose. So there are three specializations available: business enterprise management, marketing management, or healthcare management. Um, Whichever specialization you choose comes with two electives that you would take in the spring, and it informs the subject of your final graduate consulting project, the one in the spring. Nasra, have you selected a specialization yet?
My consulting project that I indicated that I want in the spring is going to be HR related with a legacy federal credit union. And that was actually my top choice. So I'm glad I got it, but I'm more so focusing on trying to get into HR after graduation. So that's why I selected that.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks for sharing. And that's kind of the whole point of the webinar is to find out what kinds of outcomes you can expect. Nasser's the perfect person to speak on that because HR is one of our most popular outcomes, which we'll touch on in a second. We'll look at some of those other outcomes. So the curriculum is so versatile. It's so broad, intentionally so, that you're able to kind of figure out what feels like a good match for you. The assumption is you probably don't have a business or management background before doing this program. You take this coursework and you kind of see where that leads you. You don't have to tell us during the admissions process what specific role you'd like to attain after you're done with graduate school. If you have one, that's great. But if not, that's okay. You have plenty of time to figure that out while in the program. We get students who take these courses and then they go in all kinds of different directions. They either say marketing seems like the one for me, accounting seems like something I want to explore more. In Astra's case, taking some of this coursework is steering her in the direction of HR, and her final project gets to be focused on that to kind of serve as a springboard into her HR career. So it's kind of a self-discovery process, the curriculum, without having much of a background in these topics. The graduate consulting project I want to mention. So this, like I mentioned earlier, is your experiential learning opportunity. This is how you practice what you're learning while in the program, because all of this is new to most students in the program. It is important to practice it. It is important to kind of experience it as you're learning it. So what that looks like is you are placed in teams of 4 to 6 students, and you guys are assigned a real client, like Nasser was talking about. Alexi is her client for the spring, and she will work with them on a semester-long project with her teammates to solve a problem for the company, whatever that is. So they learn the expectations of the client, what kind of issue it is they're trying to solve, what kind of budgetary constraints or other constraints are in place that they have to work around, and they essentially, excuse me, work on a long-term project that allows them to learn how to work for a real company, how to be client serving, client facing, how to be a member of a highly functioning professional business team that you work with for a long period of time. it really is a critical aspect of the program and one that students often cite as some of the most important and informative aspects of the program. Nasser, would you tell us about either your summer or one of your two fall projects? What have been some of the key takeaways and growth areas for you as a result?
Yeah, of course. I can talk about the summer project. We worked with Lowe's Foods and we were helping them figure out how to increase their product sales of Hershey products on the go specifically. So I would say um, sort of what I developed based on that is it's a really immersive project-based learning. You never think that before you come that you'd be able to provide actionable results and deliverables for a real life company, but that's the beauty of the consulting projects, and you feel that you have a lot of say so and a lot of stake in your teamwork, which is good, the hands-on experiences. And for the first time ever, I was able to analyze markets with real life databases that you wouldn't have access to if you didn't join the program. So I would say being able to analyze real results and provide such for real people who will listen, and often in the presentations will be representatives from the company actually. So you're not just presenting to your peers, you're presenting to real life people who have stakeholders actually. So I would say that, and just to go along with that, while you're doing that, it's propelling you further in your career. It's, giving you more opportunities to network and just make connections. And you'll see alumni at the same time that you're doing these presentations because often they'll judge them too. So I would say, yeah, that's sort of what I got from my summer experience.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. That's a really good look at what the process is like and how formative it can be in such a short period of time, and all the different kind of focuses that you take on, whether it's working in teams, how to be effective, how to serve a real client, how to develop your business acumen and business knowledge. There's so many different directions that projects take you, and that's kind of what makes them so effective for students. Briefly, this is just a page of alumni, where they went for undergrad, what kind of roles they landed after completing the program. So you can see a variety of different backgrounds here. It really speaks to the diversity in program backgrounds from our students. So we've got, just on this page alone, entrepreneurship, biology, political science, Spanish, health and exercise science, a music major. Regardless of what your background is, your skills can lend themselves quite well to this experience and developing those skills beyond that. So we have some students that have come to this program and have been pretty sure that they want to go down the path that they started for their undergrad, but they think business and management skills would be a lot more effective and put them in a better position for that career. Or we have students that come in and don't see themselves working in the industry that a lot of students from their undergrad major go into, and are just looking for something new, or enable them to open up one or more new industries to them that they otherwise would not have had access to. Management program allows for that too, which we'll talk about here in a sec with some of the outcomes. So over the last 3 years, the MSM program has averaged 92% employment within 6 months of graduation, over 66,000 a year in average compensation, a really strong coaching process, which we'll talk more about, and the career management course from earlier. Some of the more popular industries, consulting is pretty much number one every single year. It makes a lot of sense. The graduate consulting project is such a significant aspect of the program and a really great practice. It's a really great simulation for consulting. So it's the number one pretty much every single year. Marketing, advertising, sales, that's also up there. Those roles lend themselves really well to students without business backgrounds. We've heard from students in the past that those subjects are typically a little bit easier to pick up for non-business majors than some of the accounting coursework, for example, or the business analytics. That could take a little extra practice, but the marketing aspects are typically a little bit easier to get used to early on, and therefore can kind of set you up and increase your confidence. Nasser's already talked about increasing her confidence and what that's done for her. So finance is also up there. And I think that's really impressive that finance can be the third most popular outcome, considering no one in the program has a finance background. Kind of goes to show how well you are trained to understand finance and that skill set while in the program, that you're able to land finance jobs over students that were finance majors, perhaps for undergrad, but don't have a similar master's degree. Human resources comes in at number 4, and ASRA plans to add to that for next year's total. Operations and general management are both up there too. However, I point your attention to the other category, which is 18%. That's a significant number for an other category. And that speaks to the versatility of the skill set that you emerge from the program with, in addition to the versatility of the skill set that you enter the program with, and how the two kind of coalesce into an advanced skill set and a very unique opportunity for you after this program. And then some of the sample job titles over on the right give you a good indicator of some common roles, regardless of industry, but common roles that our graduates will often have access to after the program: project manager, a client services associate, a talent coordinator, a business development associate. So that gives you a really good indicator of what kinds of roles are typically filled by Masters of Science in Management students. And then some of our most popular recent employers are listed at the bottom. A good mix of regional brands, as well as some larger national and international appeal. So, how do students land those jobs? The career support is a major reason why. So I referenced it at the very beginning of the presentation. Our career coaches are a little bit different from what some students are used to from undergrad. A lot of undergraduate career centers, you have a staff that is responsible for hundreds or thousands of students. Here, there's one career coach assigned to the MSM class, which, if it is 86 students, means their caseload is 86. So you get a lot more hands-on time with your career coach. They get to know you a lot better, what you're looking for as far as career outcomes, and what you're going to be well suited to apply for. The one-on-one coaching process begins after that summer course is finished. And they help you with things like a 30-second elevator pitch, how to introduce yourself effectively, how to make legitimate network connections and build a network, how to write professional thank you notes, how to negotiate a salary if you receive a job offer, A to Z, everything you could imagine you might need help with, they're there to help with. It's a really critical aspect of the program to have them as kind of your backbone while working your way through the career hunting process. And this team was ranked number 2 by The Economist in 2021. So they're very, very good and very well recognized for the work that they do. Nasra, would you tell us a little bit about some of your experiences so far with the career coaches, either in the class that you took or in your one-on-one time you've had with your coach?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say this part of the program is one of my favorite parts just because I feel like in undergrad, I never really visited sort of like the career center. I feel like I was just a number, but here truly, like from the bottom of my heart, I can say that the one-on-one career coaching is so extremely like personal and valuable. I could be sitting anywhere in Farrell, which is the business school basically. And my one of my career coaches would walk by me and literally come up to me, ask me how I'm doing, and then say, like, let's schedule an appointment, like let's just see how you're doing. I've had like really large, like third round, fourth round interviews where I just had found out about them, and my career coach, like I would email her off rip. She'd fit me into her schedule to get me prepped for the interviews. For my very first interview, I had a mock scenario that my career coach set me up with. And in the interview that I did the next day, the behavioral questions she was asking me were very similar. They mirrored what I was really asked. So I would say the Market Readiness and Employment Office, they're so great, so amazing. I'm gonna keep working with them. So I would say definitely huge asset to this program, this school. So yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Nasser. That's great. And you have access to them even after you graduate. I mean, these are connections you can keep after you're finished with the program. Should you not land a job while still in the program, they will keep working with you just the same. If you land something, there are opportunities to help your peers as a peer career coach. Really great opportunities to focus on your career if that's something that's critical to you and something that's at the forefront of your mind, whether you have a specific role in mind or you're very much open but would like to decide sooner rather than later. The career coaches cannot possibly be more supportive than they already are. So really great feedback. We'll move on and talk briefly about the applications process. So for those of you that have already started or are considering starting an application, applications are open now. The core requirements we need to see in your application is a one-page resume, unofficial transcripts, 2 references, and keep in mind that the references do not require recommendation letters. We just need their contact information. We do not need the letters be written. There's 3 short answer essays that are required. And then you'll see the GMAT GRE score. Now we have a waiver process in place, and I'll talk through the waiver criteria. Firstly, you need to have attended a US-based institution for your undergrad. You need to have earned a 3.2 GPA or higher, and you need to have taken at least 2 quantitative courses as an undergraduate. Typically, that's satisfied from courses like statistics or calculus, or research methods. Those are the courses that often satisfy that requirement. So if you apply to the program on your application, you'll be asked if you'd like to be considered for the waiver. If you meet those requirements, select yes, submit your application, and we will review your transcript to confirm you meet those requirements within a few business days of us receiving your application. In addition, to that, please feel free to use this code apply now to waive your $100 application fee. Since you took the time to attend this session, please feel free to waive the application fee using this code. There is a text box on the application prompting you if you have a code, so please feel free to use it. After we receive your application, once we complete your test waiver review, the first thing we will do at that point is invite you to schedule your interview. So your interview will either be virtual or in person. If you are local or would like to make the trip to Winston-Salem to see us in person, please feel free to do so. But if completing your interview over Zoom would be easier, we can certainly do that. Interviews are typically 45 minutes or so in length and are entirely behavioral. There are no technical aspects that we're looking for in your admissions interview because, as we've mentioned, you're new to this skill set. So that is entirely okay. It's more an opportunity to get to know you better, your undergraduate experience, what you're looking for in a graduate experience, and making sure it's a good match. The last thing I'll mention before we pause to go over questions is the rolling admissions process. So we're not saving our admissions decisions for specific deadlines and then releasing them. It's based on whenever you apply to the program. So after your interview is complete, you should find out your admissions decision from us within around 2.5 weeks or so, as long as you earn the test waiver. We also offer merit and need-based scholarship, which is rare for a graduate program. The merit-based scholarship is based on the merit of your application, your resume, your transcript, your admissions interview, and the need-based scholarship is based on what you indicate on your application. If you indicate that you would like to be considered for financial need-based scholarship, you're asked a few questions about your financial situation. We'll take all of that into account if we wish to make an enrollment offer to you. Now that we're all finished with kind of the program overview, with the rest of the time, we will go through questions. If you have any, please feel free to put those in the chat. I see one now. First question is total tuition fees. Yes, so the tuition for the program can be seen on our website. I can, if I can respond in the chat, I can, yeah. So I will put a link to the tuition and fees in the chat so that you can check that. One important thing to keep in mind is, like I just mentioned, the financial need and merit-based scholarship that we offer. If you go to the website and look at the tuition, you will see the full sticker price for the program. But please bear in mind, it is very rare for a student to pay the full sticker price for the program because we offer that scholarship. So something important to keep in mind. I have the link here and I will drop that into the chat now. While we wait for questions, Nasra, would you tell us what it was this time or so last year that motivated you to apply to the program, and when you were accepted, what motivated you to enroll?
Yeah, so I actually applied this time last year because I mentioned I was also here at Wake Forest for undergrad. I went to this human resources, I think, informational session that had mostly MSM students in it. But again, I was still an undergrad at the time. So that's when I was introduced to other MSM students. It was a panel, and there were previous MSM grads on the panel who currently work, all over the United States, and they were talking about how they got, their positions, and they all seem to mention that because they did the MSM program, they left extremely well-rounded and also able to pivot just past HR if they wanted to, just because of the broad range of skill sets that they had acquired. And at the time, I was applying and planning to apply to human resource master programs specifically for human resources. And I realized that if that's not always something I wanted to do, that MSM could be a great option for me, to be able to pivot later on in my life and not just have that only one solid skill, I think. So I ended up applying. I think my interview, I had mine with John White. Um, it was one of the most, I would say, I don't want to say fun, but it was one of the most like not nerving, like I was not nervous. John did a really great job, and I've also heard from my other peers that the other interviewers, like, Alex, of course, here made a like did a really great job of making us feel comfortable. It didn't even feel like an interview. It felt like I was able to present myself in my best light, and the conversation was great. It flowed nicely. It did not feel scary at all. So I would say after that interview is what really sold me. And over winter break, I got my acceptance letter and I committed. And yeah, I don't regret anything at all. I'm so happy. I'm learning so much. I'm so happy with my decision. I don't think that uh I should have or could have done anything else really. So yeah.
Excellent. Thanks, Nasser. That's great to hear. That's music to my ears, obviously. And I hope some of the folks watching this recording will take that same leap. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My email address is peoplesa@wfu.edu. Please feel free to send any questions my way. If you have any questions for Nasra, maybe I could put you in touch over email or over LinkedIn. If you're looking for a student's perspective on your questions. But otherwise, thank you very much for joining us today, and we hope to see an application from you soon.